Hello everyone, welcome back to the Chainsaw Slaughter. We have a new matchup here. We have Silence on the Killer versus Tremor Survivors, and we are back to that Oni set that we saw earlier. New matchup. We do see the Lion's Fang, which my last commentator talked about being great on this map, and I do agree. It allows you to have a higher duration, which allows for more slugging, more snowball potential, things like that. But at the end of the day, it's an Oni set, and it all comes down to that first hit. So I again, just like earlier, joined here today by Dirt. And Dirt, what are you thinking of the Oni on this map? What are you thinking of these teams, the current, what's happening in Chase right now? Give me the rundown of what's going on in your head right now.
I think the most important thing there is Chase was at the tile of the Ruin totem, so it's likely that the survivors know where Ruin is, and that might play an important factor, because if you're pre-running a lot to not give up the first hit, it means you're going to be giving up a lot of gen progress with Ruin. So getting that out of the way is going to make it easier for these survivors to pre-run. And speaking of all the pre-dropping, 2 pallets already gone, but denying the first hit, I think is a good start to this game. But now we're playing an LT wall, and a great response. Shaw just saying, nope, I don't want to play this style. Bye, have a good one. And getting out, dropping another, and Oni stalled for a little bit, and doesn't get hit there. So I think it's a pretty good start to an Oni set on the surf side in my book. What about you, Autumn?
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised to see the hit taking this long, considering there is a ping differential here. That's gonna be the pallet stun coming in as well, and a generator popping for this. No hit, and this survivor has managed to take it all the way down the map to Shack. We do hear active gen here and find 2 survivors stuck here. I wouldn't be surprised if someone gets caught out in it here, considering there's a lot going on. But there still is this generator with a lot of progress here, so they have to be careful not to hang out here for too long, or else they'll let it regress. Looks like that's going to be the hit coming in onto Ronnie, though. I don't think he's going to be able to make it to the window in time, and that's exactly what's going to happen. That's going to be the first hit coming in. But for basically 2 gens getting finished and more progress to go with that, that is a very strong start from the survivors. And the Oni now needs to snowball this with that first power. It's really going to come down to how that power is used. Ruin does go down, which does open up the eruption for our Oni here, and that's going to be the down coming in onto Ronnie with enough blood for power as well. So not the most ideal start on the killer side, but definitely not the worst start, considering you have this corner hook, you have the painters on that whatever gen had progress after the first one popped, and now you have power in hand as well, and you're ready to kick with some eruption. You can make something happen here.
Yep, you have lost 2 of your perks of Corrupt and Ruin, and gotten a lot of pallets dropped and out of the way to give up 2 gens, but as you said, a very good hook. And I think not a perfect trade, but is a trade that I think most Onis would be willing to take, because now you have Chase on to Zafis, and in power. This pallet was dropped, I believe, but Nervo is going to be hitting the wall instead of the pallet or the survivor, trying to figure out where they went, going over to Shack. It's where the gen has progress on, and Shack pallet dropped instantly, broken. What do you have left here? An eruption, no bamboozle, but you can still be able to curve the Shack, I believe. Can we get the flick? No. Just going to hop blocker. Oh, no, there's the deception, by the way, and the failed head-on. That was a beautiful setup, but just a little miss down the execution.
Yeah, just trying to bait that out, get that on through the deception play, which was a good attempt, but unfortunately not able to get the stun from the head-on, which is going to lead to the down. But I guess you didn't really have any other options in that moment, so it makes sense that you got to try something, right? But now we're going to see the hook now towards the center of the map. Another pain res coming in, but no power this time, as they did manage to get the reset. And there's really not enough blood orbs on the map to get another power out of, which means we're back to the position we were at the start, where we have to get another tag, although this time with a lot less resources used. It all depends on where these survivors are able to rotate their chases, because they still have good resources on the other side of the map now. So if the survivors can make their way over there for this chase, then they will be in a pretty good spot. But if this killer can catch them out in a bad position, then they can get that hit they need. And it looks like they are in the corner of the map where there is no resources, and Ronnie not really able to make it out, trying to path towards a pallet, trying to bait out the killer to make them go somewhere else, but wasn't able to. And that's going to be a lot of blood dropped now. We're seeing Chase taken closer towards the hook as well, which is a little bit dangerous territory, a little snowbally. If they can't make distance away from the hook here. They're over here in the corner of the map. The unhook does come in, so luckily for Tremor, they're not going to be getting double slugged, or slugged on the hook rather. And it looks like they're not going to quite make that window, and that's going to be the down coming in onto Ronnie. Our killer just playing for the freshes, just playing for downs, pain reses, regressions, and we do see Jaw still injured here. Doesn't even need to pop power, although it looks like they do want to pop power just to make sure that they secure this down. They want to snowball off of this and get as many downs as possible, considering the fact that the early game was so rough. They're trying to recover it in this mid game and make up for all the pressure that they lost at the start. And I think they're doing a good job keeping that pressure up now, but these survivors are probably working these far away gens, and realizing this, the Oni makes their way towards the top of the map and is going to get the down onto Zaphis, losing the 50-50, and that's going to be the down and another hook on their very highly progressed generator.
Yep, and this is a fresh hook, and it will be a pain res as a result. Something to keep track of, though, is with pain res and eruption, you need to be aware of the amount of kicks you have on these gens. This one is now hitting spikes, and I believe at least 1 or 2 other gens have had spikes proc already, but that's a late game concern if this game gets that far. But I think Nervo is trying to make sure that isn't even in the question with all the pressure they're getting. Now Ronnie and Jaw also both healed. Those were the other pain reses used. The last pain res is the last fresh onto apply for those keeping score in your head at home. But Nervo trying to figure out where these survivors are, seeing some blood, collecting some blood, a little bit of a exploration mission, and here's where the heal happened. And now it sees the unhook onto Zaphis. Is there surviving in one of these lockers? Nervo thinks about it as well, but not going to take the time to check. And now likely heading back to the hook. And we're going to see a... Yep, we see a survivor in the distance. We see 2 survivors in the distance as Nervo does pop power.
Yeah, as soon as he lands this down, that's going to be 3 eruption procs on all these gens. Lots of regression across the board, but he needs to get that down now. Finally spotting out where Jaw was, and now it just needs to walk this down and get the down. No need to greed for anything fancy here. Gets the down. 3 eruptions on the gens, and it looks like we're going to be seeing a slug here from Nervo, just trying to get more downs out of this. We see the generator popping, and we have aura reading on the person at main, knows exactly the pathing, and this is also our last fresh hook, as we mentioned. That's going to be balanced landing coming into play, turning him around just a little bit, and with only a tiny bit left on the power gauge, he needs to get this down. You need to win this 150-50. If you can win this 50-50, you get the pain res. Just barely missing it too, slightly over flicking, and now their power gauge is going to run out, and Jaw is going to get picked up as well, losing all that momentum and pressure that they had off of that one flick, which is just very unfortunate for our killer, as this is still a very strong pallet, and Apply is playing this very patiently to make sure that he doesn't drop this too early, because this is the only resource he has in the area, so he's going to keep greeting it. He's going to keep trying to get away with that, and Nervo, thinking that there's more blood over here, just takes the 1 blood orb, loses their bloodlust, and now Apply is gone and out of this area, taking so much distance towards Cowtree. And now Nervo's in a really tough spot because these gens do have progress. They are in a triangle here, but they have so much progress that you can't even hold this properly. With main being so progressed and having it be so out of the way of everything, having to worry about main and Shack at the same time is going to be very difficult for our killer.
And this is the timing where those eruption procs and the new gen kick regression, whatever the number 8, is important, because eruption, that's 1 proc on the kick and 1 on the eruption proc. So we see Shack getting the spikes here. Because you're playing this so slow, you're at 3 stages, and you have, what, maybe half the gens already at the spikes. As we do see main building pop, there is the scary sight. It's a 3 gen. You need to be able to get this down. You need to be able to defend your gens, and you defend those gens by getting downs with this build. This isn't... Boon is gone. You can't get it just by poking people off of the gens. And there's going to be the down to his office. There's going to be the eruption proc. We're going to see with Aura if anyone's on a gen. And I think Nervo just wants to go for it. No info, just a little bit of faith that somebody's on this 4 gen. They do see somebody behind main building. Is this apply for the last pain res? I think it is. But again, as you said, it was like last time, not enough power, even with Lion Fang. And Zaphis gets picked up, power is out, and you're in a tough spot.
Yeah, we're in the same position we were just in, where Nervo knows that he needs to get that second down, but the first down just took a little bit too much time that he doesn't have enough power gauge to go for it. He runs out of power, and now he just doesn't have a lot to go off of. He does have an okay amount of blood here, but I don't know if it's enough for a power, and no, it's not. He either just has to sit here with Zaphis and just farm blood off of him, but he does catch Jaw out in the locker, assuming that there's a head-on, and play completely predicts and reads that and gets the hook here, and now there's going to be enough blood between what's left in Shack and what's on this hook to get power, and this is potentially what Nervo needed in order to get a higher amount of stages, and just going to instantly pop power blindly, force Zaphis to go for that unhook, and just make his way up the map to try to get more downs.
Yeah, small detail there. Nervo's power was at about half, but getting the pull from the locker does give progress to the power, and it's enough with what's on the hook, but with the last gen popping, you need to get some stages. 4 stages is not enough. Apply, trying to jump off the balcony, goes down. This is the last fresh hook, so this might be what Nervo is going to accept. Sees his gate there, gonna take this upstairs main building. This is gonna be a hard hook to get a save from, with all the doors, it being upstairs, the gates being a good distance away. Maybe not so much by the way the crow flies, but by the pathing the survivors have to take. So you've gotten 5 stages for fresh. If Apply dies on this hook, that's 7 stages for fresh. And I think these survivors are not going to take any risks. They're going to say 7 stages for fresh, great. We've got an Oni player too, and I think they can do better than that. We do see heals coming through. Are they thinking about it?
I don't think that they are. I think going for this pull right now could lead to more stages than they need to give, considering the circumstances. If they want to just leave right now, I think that would be perfectly fine. Maybe one person on the team wanted to, and now they're communicating it, and they're like, let's reset just in case, and they're talking about it, but I just don't see a world where you go for this, especially considering you can just block the stairs so easily, prevent them from getting upstairs. But it looks like they are actually going for it and giving power to the Oni in the process. This is going to potentially lead to 2 downs, and I think that this is a mistake on the survivors' part, although we'll have to see. Maybe they have some grand plan that I'm not thinking of. They do have this balanced landing waiting here, but the power is going to get popped here, and now just needs to chase Apply and get this down before Apply can make it out of the gate. They still have this filler pallet here to use, but now with pallet control from the Oni, winning this 50-50 right here, if they get this flick, but they don't, they slightly underflick that and don't quite make it around. Apply now playing for the pallet drop, drops the pallet, gets zoned towards the middle of the map, away from the gate. Now Nervo has enough power to get this down and still go back. That's gonna be the drop on the hill. That's gonna be the M1 down from the Oni, with still a little bit under half the power gauge. Slugging this, but no, looks like they're just going to pick it as Jaw gets picked up. I think the survivors tried to attempt to get the 4 out there, but realize it's probably not possible from that hook. They could potentially try again from this hook. This is an easier hook to get the save from. We do already see Zaphis in the area playing for it. They want to get that 6 stage. They're greeting for just a couple less stages, but I think in this current position they probably can get away with it.
Yeah, that first one was a setup. Jaw, who took that unhook the first time, was death hook, so they're trying to make sure if anyone went down, it was Jaw. And that was one way to get a 6 stage, but this is another way to get a 6 stage, or maybe even better, but looks like Apply with a balanced landing is going to be able to make it down the map, and this would be 6 stages for fresh if Apply gets out, and it looks like Apply is going to get out. They managed to do the first unhook to get a better hook position, and the second one is what gives the out. With the hill and the bounce landing and that extra filler pallet that might have been called by Apply, playing those things earlier, might have given them the confidence to go for this play, giving them a 6 stages for fresh tie, meaning 7 stages, and that's a win. Welcome back to Chainsaw Slaughter. We have Tremors, Killer, Kenshi. Playing Oni against these silenced survivors. We have no corrupt on Oni, hoping that Ruin is enough to help with the early game pressure. And Autumn, what do you think of the rest of this build?
I think this is a very solid build played out. Multiple totems to defend one another, good Ruin pressure, good pain res pressure. I think the one flaw that this build really has is if you can't get the first hit, it crumbles. Like, you need early first hit without corrupt in order to make this build work the way you want it to. So as long as you can get that first hit in a decent amount of time, you get massive snowball off this build. But it all comes down to that first hit, and first chase is being taken at a very safe tile too. So Kenshi having to break this pallet and commit down this chase down towards possibly fillers, although zoning them away. Now with the crowd control, they're not going to use this window, and I don't think they're going to make it to a pallet. So it looks like this gambit of a build will actually pay off, as this first hit does come in very soon for not a ton of gen pressure, and now he just has to commit for blood orbs, and then he can just snowball from there with his ruin.
Yeah, we already have another weak pallet going down, a lot of blood, but Kangxi not wanting to take the break to collect it yet, wanting to try to get this down. And it will be in right next to a totem as well. 1 gen pops, but a person goes on the ground, and there's a lot of blood to pick up, likely enough for power. And we'll see, is there a pain res hook close enough and in a good position? Is this going to be a pain res hook in the 3 gen with the totem behind it? Not a pain res, or there's no progress on gens. There was progress on gens, so that was not a pain res hook. Choosing the hook location, but main gen already being done is a good choice by the survivors. There's bounce landing, and Kangxi didn't even stop to collect the blood for power. Bit odd, I would say.
Yeah, he's in a bit of an odd position. Without the corrupt early game, he wasn't committing over towards that side where the survivors spawned, or at least where they should have spawned. And that's why those gens popped so fast, is they doubled and singled one and then probably doubled to confirm the other move before any pain risk could hit. And he does have this 3 gen with power though, which is kind of what you're playing for as Oni. Oni is very much a 3 gen killer. But with the pressure from the survivors early game with no corrupts, it's gonna hurt in the mid game here. With Kenshi power in hand though, and if they can catch out rotations on survivors, then they're going to be able to deny unhooks here and force the second with the 3 gen still up. So not a bad start from either side. It just is really going to depend how each side approaches this mid game and how each side approaches this 3 gen.
Yeah, I think having main building go makes this hook position a little weaker, but you are still correct. There is still gens that you can defend, but you gotta be able to find survivors. And there, Kangxi sees somebody, a gen pops and sees both survivors, knows where everybody is, and oh boy, let's have some fun.
Yeah, these survivors instantly forcing lockers though, because they know if they have to commit to this locker pull, that's a free unhook across the map. Also, they don't want to get double slugged, so they both hop locker. So getting the pull out of this locker, they have to go for the save now. Someone's probably rotating up now to get that unhook as this hook comes in. There are enough blood orbs on the map to get power once again, and there's still decent gens set up with ruin up, with crowd control up, with more pain risk stages to go. This is kind of anyone's game at this point. It really does depend on how these teams play out mechanically this next little bit, because it's going to come down to these 50-50s. It's going to come down to these chases and how much pressure Kenshi can get from how many downs Kenshi can get. If these survivors just want to force lockers all day, which is what they're doing, they're going to be giving up stages. And now for those of you who are joining in late, Kenshi has to get around 8 stages, or yeah, actually 8 stages to meet the win con. He's going to just be slugging on hook. I think that locker pull was a little bit overzealous on the part of the survivors, because now they have a lot to worry about. They have the slug, they have the hook, and now there's going to be enough blood orbs for power as well. And with Ruin eating away at these gens now, because Kenshi's interrupting them, the survivors are in a very precarious position, and I think it all comes down to the fact that they were forcing locker too much. I think that locker force really cost them quite a lot here, and now Kenshi just has to commit for a down, and the pressure is there. There's just a lot of pressure. Crowd control comes in. Kenshi vaults the window. He's going for this down. We see another locker force, but at this point, I don't know if it's really going to do much, because Kenshi doesn't even have to pull that. Kenshi can just keep power. There is Lion's Fang in hand. There's duration here, and Kenshi can just play for cutting off the rotation and playing off of hook timer now.
Okay, and I believe winning condition here is 7 stages. So with the slug on the ground and this injure, you're getting very close to that number. And with this down on Nervo, this is a... Is this a fresh hook? I need to check. We will see. This is the first on to Nervo. If the scoreboard is correct. Okay, there we go. Things are up to date now. So 5 stages, 1 more for the tie, and if it is Mariana's Fesh, and then 2 stages for the win, which I think is very reasonable with 2 people injured.
Yeah, I think the survivors are in a bit of a rough spot now. They kind of had a good start and then it fell off towards the mid game, which, you know, that does actually happen in a lot of Oni sets. That is pretty common to have a good start, deny a hit for a little while or whatever, and then get pressured in the mid game. But I think now they have to break these gens, and it's not the tightest of 3 gens. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a strict 3 gen. Look at how much blood there is for Kenshi to play with here, and with the win con being the way it is, just needing a couple more stages to meet the win here. These survivors need to play this very, very well from here on out. It looks like they're just dropping the Shack pallet, playing distance, and now forcing Kenshi to commit far away from the gens. And Kenshi can probably get this down very soon. They're trying to force basement here, but even that I think could potentially end badly, because even if they get the gens for that basement, like that's still a basement hook with the win con being the way it is. They wouldn't really be able to unhook it very easily, but Kenshi wants more than just that. Kenshi wants to interrupt these gens, wants to get another down up here and play around higher stages than just his win con.
Yeah, the thing about that hook on FDS is death hook. That would have been a 6 stages 3 fresh, meaning that would have been a loss. They would need 1 more stage anyways, and with the threat of having this top side gen with high progress, if they hook that and this gen pops, they're an Oni with no power and trying to get a stage out in endgame, and I don't think that was reasonable for them. So this is a very big, someone in the voice chat, please do the math for me kind of moment, as teams are allowed to be in VC and unmuted to talk to their killer, help them with the math and the tracking and all of the details. I think Kenshi right now is doing it just fine.
Yeah, Ruin is really doing work on these gens. A bit of a long triangle here, but regressing these gens with Ruin as these survivors just fully reset. Now all 4 of them can tackle the gen setup together, but they have to be careful because the second one of them gets hit, it could lead to a lot more problems. We see a pallet getting dropped dark side here, taking the chase over towards this next filler pallet as Kenshi, towards main actually, as Kenshi commits here. This is definitely going to be a tag now. Not playing the filler, just giving the tag and hoping that maybe the gen in the corner can pop for this tag, although it was not that far progressed. They could be doubling it to give it a lot more pressure, and I think Kenshi is playing off that internal clock, making sure that he's keeping tabs on the gen progress to make sure he doesn't overcommit to anything and lose the generator for it, because right now going endgame could lead to some problems as we do enter endgame here, committing just a little bit too far. We see 2 survivors running off over here. These survivors now just have to play their split properly, and Kenshi needs to realize who he needs to down here. It looks like he's going for the tag here on FTS to get his power, and then go for a down on someone else to meet that win con. He's committing chase over here, getting the tag. That's going to be just barely enough blood. The gate is already open. A survivor was already ready for the gate, and now Kenshi needs to find another survivor with his power. If FDS gets down here, it is not enough to meet the win con. He needs to get someone else. He needs someone who's worth a couple more stages because he needs that 7-stage win con. FDS just playing the pallet, and Kenshi just ignoring him, trying to cut off any survivor who might be rotating around the main building side to get to this exit gate here. As we already know that there are survivors waiting at the exit gate, so there's no point forcing them out right now. Kenshi trying to mind game around main building, make his way back around, but all he's finding, he finds a survivor over here, over at this tile. FD is trying to take aggro away from Nervo here, but Nervo also caught out in this corner. Kenshi slugging for more, gets pallet stun. Nervo going for the flashlight blind, and it's all going to depend on whether Nervo can get out of this position or not. Can Nervo make it back around to the gate? Kenshi zoning with power gauge rapidly running out, and he needs to get this down before it runs out. Another filler pallet here. It's all up to Nervo and whether Nervo can hold this chase for just a little bit longer. Power, only a few seconds left of power now. Kenshi going all the way around, breaks the pallet and knows that his power is about to run out. Nervo just holding W, even with an M1, makes it out, and that would be the win con. It looks like these survivors are playing so well to meet this condition, and this is exactly what they're going for, as Nervo is going to make it out. All survivors making it out of the gate. FDS probably going to be the only one getting picked up here, as I don't know if you can heal tech from this distance, although with all of these survivors being up here, are they going to risk it? Yeah, they're just going to keep playing for the heal tech. They're just going to keep playing for that 4 out. They want to get that 4 out as they keep going down, but they have to be careful because they don't want to accidentally give up the win, and it doesn't matter as all 4 survivors are going to get out here, and that is going to be the win con met for Silence. Very close game towards the end, but so well played from Silence's side. Wow, what a match between these 2 teams. What a match of skill here. And that is going to be the win for Silence. Excellent play from their side, although Tremor almost had it right there at the end
Well, that was a very exciting match for Chainsaw Slaughter, and if you guys want to see more exciting matches, we have a couple more on the way, so please stay tuned for more.